Hello, everyone. Welcome back to DJ and the Zooms. I am Jay. And today, since there has been no race this weekend, I figured we might do a little activity together. I've had this Lego McLaren car for almost 2 years now. It was gifted to me by a friend for my birthday. But the thing is, another friend had the same idea for the same birthday. You might have noticed this one has been in the background for a little while. And I never took the time to build this one because it took me almost 2 hours to do that one. I wasn't fully focused while I was doing it, but it did take me quite a while. I hope we managed to get a little quicker on this one. Also, there may very well be moments when I'm not able to speak as I'm building it. I'm not very used to doing Legos. I love them. I just don't often have the opportunity to have any. So it might take my full brain capacity at some points. In any case, let's get into it. I think the stickers are my favorite part. Is that sad? Is that sad to say? Let's start with looking at let's start with organizing the whole thing. Oh, it's number. Anyway, something that we can talk about today is also the shenanigans that have already started in the world of Formula One with, namely, Adrian Newey stepping down as team principal of Aston Martin. Listen, I don't think it's a surprise for anyone. It never made sense to me to have him be team principal for any team, really. But now it's official. And there's been rumors that he's stepping down so that Jonathan Wheatley can take his place. Jonathan has indeed left Audi, which I have to admit broke my heart. I haven't watched the entire season of Drive to Survive because I don't have Netflix anymore. You know, if you've been listening to this podcast, that I've only just now, a month ago, started a big girl job. And at some point, it was financially very complicated for me. And I had to stop all of my subscriptions. And to be honest, Netflix is the first one I stopped because I got mad when they stopped allowing us to share our accounts with people who don't live under the same roof. No one lives under the same roof as me. And maybe I shouldn't say that on the internet, but there it is. And I don't feel like paying full price just for myself, especially since I haven't really been watching streams, anything, for quite a while. So I didn't see the point. But anyway, I haven't seen the entire season of Drive to Survive, but I've seen enough to see that Jonathan Wheatley looked like he was really doing something at Audi, like he was building something. And you know how much I value this sort of mentality in the construction and the building of the values of a team. We've talked about my opinion on Mercedes and Williams and how I think it's important that they nurture their talents. And that, I felt, was what Jonathan Wheatley was doing at Audi. And he voiced it. He expressed that this is what he wants to be doing. And listen, how many of you think that's something that he can do as freely, as openly, and as kindly at Aston Martin? I don't know Listen, I don't think I know much about Aston Martin at all. And I don't know if that's because there's not much information or because I haven't paid attention to it enough. Please give me your opinion in the comments because I'm actually really interested in knowing what the F is the team culture at Aston Martin. I would like to understand. There's also the part of, like, listen, there are Aston Martin fans, namely my buddies who have been on this podcast in the past, Andy and Linus, and I still don't really get it. I understand the appeal of Alonso because he's a legend, but the team itself, the only thing that I think of when I think about Aston Martin is money. And I'm not interested in money enough to value that, really. I'm sure there's a lot of things that I don't know, that I haven't yet understood, that I'm not informed enough about. And if I were, I would probably get it. So if you think there are things I should know about the culture at Aston Martin, please share. You've got the comments on Instagram, you've got the comments on YouTube, and on Spotify as well. So do not hold back. I'm very interested. But coming back to Jonathan Wheatley, I partly understand his decision. Maybe he wanted to go to Aston Martin in the first place and had to settle for Audi for a while. And because I understand the appeal of Adrian Newey, and I completely understand wanting to try to give him a chance to do something great by giving him the reins fully, because he has such an aura as a genius who can build a car better than anyone else in the sport, because he understands how it works better than anyone else. So in a way, it does make sense to me why they would have put him as team principal. But in my own personal and professional life, I have seen time and time again that it is not that easy to be a manager. Like, it's not innate, is what I mean. You have to really learn how it is that you can motivate, support people, and carry them with you when you want to achieve a common goal. And I personally think you also have to have a very particular personality for that to work. It's not for everyone. And I think, listen, this is what my own prejudice, but I think that people who are very good at very technical, mathematical things are not going to be very good at interpersonal relationships. There are exceptions, obviously, but most of the time, this is what I feel. And Adrian Newey, to be this extremely great engineer, has to be one and can hardly be the other. No shade. I respect him. I feel like I shouldn't have to say it, but the internet is what it is. Look at that. We've got a little Oscar Piastri with, how would you call that? A wrench? Hello. Ooh. Yeah. He seems as on form as he's been since the beginning of the year. Well, how would we know? Anyway, I was very glad that Jonathan Wheatley was at Audi with Nico Hülkenberg and Gabby Bortoleto specifically, because I think I wanted them to be a comfort team. I wanted them to be the team that everybody would support, much like Williams have been, because they're so obviously good, which I know is not a very good word to use in this context, but still, like, they have to be the good guys, with Jonathan, who seems to be so genuine and kind, and this absolute powerhouse of a duo in Nico and Gabby, who seem to be, like, because they're a generation apart, And still, they seem to get along so well. They have fun together. I've always said that if I were to be a driver in Formula One and could choose my teammate, I would choose Nico. If the goal is to win races, I would choose Nico because I think he would be the one who would help the most because he knows so much about the sport. He's been there for very long, uh, going on 16 years. And he seems down to earth, no bullshit, yet still kind and passionate. So I've always said that I think Gabby won the teammate lottery. Is this the one? Has to be, right? Yeah, let's go. You've been warned. I'm gonna mess this up and start again and again. And I clearly don't see Aston Martin as good guys. So I feel maybe I feel like we've been betrayed a little bit, you know? I guess we'll see how it goes. I still hope it goes well. I mean, it's so sad, right? And upsetting to see how it's been going so far for Aston Martin. No one deserves to be in this much trouble. Not even Oscar Piastri. I have no hate for Oscar. I'm just saying that as a joke. Poor darling. Hasn't even been able to drive. Oh, no. Anyway, I promised you that today would be talking about why I love Formula One, didn't I? I said that last week because we've been talking to all my friends and we haven't yet gotten around to talking about why I love this sport, why I got into it. And I didn't get into it very long ago. It's been now, well, now we're at the end of March. Right? Yeah, 22nd. So what? Wait, it looks like it's this, but sometimes I am baffled by how dumb I really am. Anyway, yeah, no, I was on, wow. Okay. So now that it's almost April, I can say that I've been watching Formula One for 4 years now. Happy birthday to me. It's not very long, but still like respectable, I think. Especially since I've learned so much about it. Still, like, it's not like I have to justify it. So, started watching Formula One in April 2023. So it's actually been 4 years. 2023, 2024, 2025, and now we're at the beginning of 2026. I've watched 3 seasons, and we're at the beginning of the 4th. I've said it before a few times now. My first race was Baku. The thing is, I had friends in my old job who were massive Formula One fans. And they would sit together at lunch and talk about it. Okay, that's under there on the other side. Yes. Oh yeah, okay. And I had a massive crush on one of them. And I was quite close friends with the 2 others. But I wasn't really interested in Formula One. I think I've mentioned it in the past as well. It's not, I live in France, hi, and it's not very popular here. Like people talk a lot more about football and there it is. Rugby, even handball, I would say, than Formula One. I remember when I was little, because now it's on Canal Plus, which is a channel that you have to. Well, it's not exactly a channel. Well, it is a channel, but it's also a service that you have to pay for, and it's 30 euros a month. And as you know, I couldn't even pay for Spotify and Netflix. So am I going to pay 30 euros a month for a different channel when I don't even have a TV? Certainly not. But back when I was little, Formula One was actually on a public channel. And You had, family lunch on a Sunday. Everyone comes over. Formula One is playing in the background. I remember that, but it wasn't, my parents aren't interested in it. And I didn't grow up with it. So I wasn't very interested. There's the gray ones. And this, it looks Star Warsy, except for the yellow. You can't see it because you're too far away, but if I brought you closer, you wouldn't see anything. Except my amazing rack. Anyway, where was I? Yes, my friends were huge fans. So I heard sort of bits here and there. And then I left that job and tried to start working as a freelance translator. I love translation. I think it's such a fascinating subject and thing in general. Being able to know so much about two different languages that you can really bring out very detailed meaning in both and transcribing it from one to the other. I love translation. I used to be able to, when I was in university, I used to be able to drop everything to just focus on my translation homework. Nothing interested me more. And maybe when you love something so much, it's very important to let it stay something that you can enjoy if and when you have time for it, and not really make it your job. I think I'm going against any of the discourse on finding a job that we hear, but I think it's important to be able to enjoy the things that you enjoy and not put the pressure on them of it being your job. My brother loves cooking, would never have wanted to be a chef because it's too important for him to keep that as something that gives him joy. He's extremely wise, while also being a dumbass. I don't know how he does it. Fascinating. And I guess with the whole rambling I went on, you've understood that the translation job didn't go very well. See, the thing is, when you work as a freelance anything, but mostly, well, as a translator or maybe like a website developer or something like that, you're gonna be by yourself at home all the time. And I can't do that. I need to see people. I need to talk to people. I need to be in contact with humans in my everyday life. Plus, doing a freelance job means you have to constantly beg people to let you work so that you can earn a living. And I hated that too. So the thing about the job not working is that it precipitated me into a deep depression, but like deep. I was completely lost. This is, the translation job is basically what I'd worked for pretty much my whole life. Well, last week I told you that I'm an actor. I started acting when I was 9 years old, and this is my actual passion. And I did take acting classes in Paris for a while. But it became very quickly obvious that I don't have the profile of a French actress. Specifically this profile. Other than that, I studied English forever and loved translation. And I thought this would be like really my dream job. And it wasn't. So it was a shock. And not only was it a shock, but then what do I do? So it was disappointing and scary and kind of brought on an existential crisis, really. And in the midst of all of that, one of my 3 friends from my old job, one day, as we were eating at McDonald's, mentioned Charles Leclerc, and I had my phone on the table beside me, and I think the phone heard us. Soon as I came home, my Instagram was flooded with reels of Charles Leclerc. At first, I thought it was funny. Then I thought it was annoying. And then I just gave in and I was like, you know what? He is pretty, I guess. Looked him up on TikTok, started getting interested. And my friend said, you could watch Drive to Survive. It won't hurt. And I told her, all right, I'll watch Drive to Survive. But mark my words, I am never watching a Grand Prix. Well, I watched Drive to Survive. Obviously fell in love with Daniel Ricciardo. Who wouldn't? Like, I'm only human. And as I kept getting into it, more and more of my social media algorithms filled up with Formula One content. The more seasons of Drive to Survive I watched, the more I noticed that every time a certain driver appeared on my screen, I just lit up. That's really like, when they say you don't choose your favorite driver, your favorite driver chooses you. That's where I know how true this is, because I never asked for Lando to become this important. He clearly picked me. At the time, I think there was something like a 3-week break. Australia was on the 2nd of April, and Baku was on the 30th of April. So almost the entire month. So I couldn't watch a race. I just consumed as much content as I could, really. And then I started watching the races. You may remember, talked about this with Linus when he came on. The fact that Baku 2023 was basically the most boring race in the history of the sport. Nothing happened. They just went in weirdly shaped circles for 2 hours. And yet, it didn't deter me. But I think that's also something that I mentioned, but I think it was when Corinne came on. The fact that at first, in the beginning, I was very anxious before, like before the race started. During the entire day, I was scared that something might happen to one of the drivers, specifically Charles Leclerc. I don't know why. I guess I never trusted him. Look at this. Wow. Okay. How long's it been? 43 minutes. Listen. I guess it's going to take over 2 hours to make this. But we're having fun together, aren't we? But 2023 was really a year that was completely and utterly dominated by Max. Baku wasn't the only race that just nothing happened. Like most races that year, Max just took off at the beginning of the race, spent the entire race ahead of everyone. We all knew he was going to win because he was winning everything all the time, which is quite impressive, but also very boring if you think about it. Love Max, respect him, but it was not the most exciting time in the sport. Which makes me think that it's important for us to say now that the new regulations are a good thing. We couldn't have gone on with those same regulations forever, because when you get to the end of a stretch of regulations, everyone's at the top of their game, and you get these hugely dominant cars, like the Red Bull, like the McLaren lately. It's not really the point, is it? We want to see them fight, don't we? Plus, I've been saying it, those cars were just too big. You couldn't overtake. But where I was going by telling you all about my life journey is the fact that at this time in my life, I needed something to hold on to. And I guess I'm the kind of person who, in these moments, picks someone instead of something. Of course, Formula One is a thing, but you know where I'm going with this. I picked Lando. I needed a human person to help me go on with life, as sad as it sounds. To this day, I feel really lucky that Lando is the person that I found in that moment, because then he went on to show us all that you can be a sensitive person who feels emotions. I was about to say very strongly, but I don't even think it's that. Just someone who feels emotions and shows them, because everybody feels emotions. As much as everyone would like to say that he is an Iceman who doesn't feel anything, Oscar also feels emotions. He just doesn't show it. But at that time, I think I needed someone to show me that you can feel emotions strongly and show it. And sometimes things don't work out and you're allowed to be disappointed and sad about it, and yet still succeed. Still see the lights, the opportunities, and keep going. And it doesn't hurt that he's pretty. And he didn't escape. Sometimes it doesn't really have to be much more than that, really. It was so great being able to step out of everyday difficulties for 2 hours on a Sunday afternoon. I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels this way. And you know what? If you can relate to that, tell me in the comments. I think it's important for us to share those feelings, because it's important that we are able to remind each other that this is the human experience and we're all human. Now, I mentioned that last week, but McLaren at the time were nowhere near the front. They were losing pretty badly. Like I said, I think I needed that. I needed a team and a driver who weren't at the front because I was struggling. I needed someone who was also struggling so that I could identify to the struggle, right? And identify to or identify with, right? And it's definitely not as much pressure, although I couldn't have known at the time. But now I know that being at the back is not as much pressure as being at the front. And the stakes obviously are lower for us as fans, I mean. For them, it's probably agonizing. But for us, knowing that there's no way they could do much, really, kind of relaxing. You're just watching the race for the race. I think that's a common theme in everything I've liked in my life, the human experience. When I watch a show, I watch it for the characters. Like, I've been able to watch 15 seasons of Supernatural, even though everybody knows that after season 6, it really dipped in quality. I've been able to watch 14 seasons of Criminal Minds because I get attached to the characters and their stories and the emotions. And I guess it's the same thing in sports. I get attached to these guys, which is also why it's been so tough to admit that Jack Doohan was dropped so soon and never really had a chance to show what he was capable of, that Théo Pourchaire never made it to Formula One, that Victor Martins might not either. But it also makes it so much more impactful when something happens to these guys that brings them joy and so brings me joy by proxy. That's also why I've been so vocal. Although I know it's not been very well constructed and I never really went deep into it, but I think it's very important for me to talk about parasocial relationships, because I know this is the territory that I'm getting in right now. I think there must be an element of common sense in it. Like, and I've worked in customer service for 10 years before all of this. So I know common sense isn't very common, but it seems obvious that no one should wait outside a driver's home or even their hotel when they're on a race weekend or any form of time away. Because if someone or a group of people were waiting outside your home or outside your accommodation wherever you are, you'd be very scared, right? It's really not, it won't give you a feeling of security. And we don't touch people without their consent. Ever, in any way at all. And we don't threaten them ever in any way at all. And we don't harass them ever in any way at all. Be it in real life, face to face, or online, in comments, in tweets, in threads. We don't do that. Because these people are people. And if it happened to you, you wouldn't be very happy about it. You'd be very scared. There should be a sense of respect that goes into the way we treat these people, even from far away, even when we think they don't see or read what we're saying. Now that I've said that, what I want to say is these past 3 years, I've had very difficult moments in my life, my personal life. And sometimes watching reels on Instagram or TikToks, edits of a certain driver, has been the only way to numb the pain. If thinking about Carlos Sainz before going to sleep when you get into bed in the evening is the only way that you can sort of soothe the ache of a world that is in shambles, in ruins, and on fire, by all means do it. If writing a smutty fanfic is the only way that you can get out of the dread for a few minutes or a few hours, by all means do it. As long as you're not hurting anyone, you're not harassing anyone, you're not threatening anyone. I was talking to someone in my real life a while ago, and she said that she felt guilty for sometimes fantasizing about a driver or a celebrity. And I asked, are you sending him in-depth descriptions of your fantasies? She said no. If you met him on the street, would you jump at him? She said no. Are you going out of your way to try and find his address so that you can find him and camp outside his home? She said no. So I said, what you're telling me basically is that you've got little stories in your head and you're not sharing them with anyone. And she said, yes. And I said, and you feel guilty about that? And she said, yes. And I know that she is someone who struggles a lot with real life. And I said, listen, if this is helping you cope and it's not hurting anyone, by all means do it. I know it's an unpopular opinion at the moment because a lot of people are finding these therapy adjacent words and using them to shame other people online. And that's what it was. She had read people saying online that you shouldn't be fantasizing about a celebrity. And she felt very guilty in her private thoughts for that. And I think that's terrible because life is already tough enough. Sometimes, and this is something that my therapist actually told me, if your brain conjures up the image of someone that you admire and invites them into imaginary scenarios, it means that your brain isn't only there to hurt you, bring you anxiety. It means that your brain also works to soothe you and help you along the way. And that's a good thing. But don't harass people, don't threaten people, don't follow them around, don't wait outside their home. Use common sense in all these things, okay? Going back to admiring someone who seems genuine, I think that might be why I love Alex so much as well. Alex Albon, because he seems very, genuine. And he's funny. And Lily, his girlfriend, is funny as well. They're pretty cool, aren't they? I'm not sure where I stand on the whole wags culture. I think I'm mildly interested. I like knowing what's going on, but I don't feel the need to go in depth. Lily is interesting because she's also an athlete, although I don't watch golf. But I understand. I think it's cool that she gets also... Oh. Yeah. Okay. She should be in the limelight is what I mean. Okay, this is where we are. I think I'll keep going for a while. Cut the mic, because this is going to take me a long time. And I'm not sure I have a lot more to say now. Because it's been an hour and a half almost. I didn't have that much to say on a weekend when there was no race. So, I'll see you in a mo. That's it. I completely overestimated myself in terms of how long this was going to take me because, wow. It's been 2 hours and 17 minutes since I started recording. There you go, Oscar. Oh, his arms don't fit. Take the halo out. There you go. Vroom vroom, mother effer. Here you have them. They're actually both Lando's car because they both have the yellow. But, now that I have both, I can say I've got Landoscar. And apparently Oscar's hair is a wig. Thank you for listening until the end. I doubt that you did. I'm probably gonna cut the whole the whole time. I was thinking as I was finishing the building of the car that I might just speed it up and put some music on, but I think I'm just gonna cut it because there's nothing really interesting to watch. Except for just me getting increasingly annoyed. Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, share the posts. And I guess I'll see you next week after the Japanese Grand Prix. Bye.